China has dispensed another consignment of medical items to Gambia as the fight against coronavirus intensifies. Ghana has temporarily ended COVID-19 lockdown to ease the pressure on the less privileged groups. Lack of financial support is hindering efforts in the fight against coronavirus and Ebola in DR Congo. This and more coming on The World Today. Hello, this is Africa TV and many thanks for joining us. It is 1800 GMT here in our studios in Banjul. You are watching the World Today News Bulletin. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in detail. Gambia has joined list of African countries to have received second consignment of medical material from China as part of support in the fight against COVID-19. Chinese business tycoon Jack Ma had initially donated thousands of health equipment worth over $1 million to Africa. Gambian health officials commended China for the support, saying it can greatly help in the fight against COVID-19. Here is more details of that in this report.
The Chinese embassy in the Gambia handed a batch of medical supplies from China to reinforce ongoing efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19. 2 ventilation machines came along the second delivery Alibaba Global e-commerce group, in addition to thousands of face masks and protective gears from the government of People's Republic of China on Monday. Ma Jinchung, Chinese ambassador to the Gambia, described the intervention as a symbol of the much cherished friendship between the peoples of China and the Gambia.
I'm happy to attend the handover ceremony of the second batch of medical supplies donated by Jack Ma Foundation and the Alibaba Foundation. This is the fourth time when medical supplies from Chinese government and the people landed in the Gambia. Such practices are the clear demonstration of our efforts in materializing the vision of building a China-Africa community of a shared future and common health.
Wanja Karia, representative and country director of the World Food Programme, said a solidarity package has been included to support the fight against COVID-19. Our organization has been responsible for all logistics in the shipment and delivery of the donation from China.
These supplies have reinforced the capacity of the Gambia's health system to contain the COVID-19 outbreak. We are indeed grateful to you, Your Excellency, the Ambassador, and remain indebted to your government of China, Jack Ma Foundation, and of course the WHO for this much needed assistance. It is a moment like this that we know who a true partner is, a friend and an ally.
WHO representative in the Gambia, Dr. Desta Terune, stated that even though the number of cases in the Gambia is low, more mechanisms need to be in place as a signal of early warning.
The number of cases in the Gambia have been few, but we still have to review also how we are doing our business in terms of testing. What we see is that the number of people that we are testing may not be to the number that we require to test. This is something that we are reviewing together with the other partners. The Ministry of Health is reviewing this, and very soon we may be making some adjustment also to make sure that we are really safe enough to move forward with the situation. But from the forecasts what we have some projections that show that in a few months' time, we might be having quite a number of cases. So for that, we have to prepare, and these are the most important things to do.
Gambia's Minister of Health, Dr. Amadou Lamin Samate, recognized the importance of the items in the fight against COVID-19.
These go to strengthen our resolve, to strengthen our commitment, to strengthen our collective strategies to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic and also to contain the disease in this country. Now, the current presentation today, we have seen a long list of very important items, but of course, the name ventilator has become a household name across the length and breadth of the country.
10 cases in the Gambia contributes to a global infection of more than 2 million people with over 152,000 deaths since the outbreak began late last year. Europe with a more than 1 million confirmed cases and the Americas are nearly 1 million cases are the worst affected regions. Cases in Africa region are about 14,000 as on April 19 according to the World Health Organization. Reporting for Africa News, I am Amadou Kante.
China continued to support Africa in the fight of COVID-19, and from that report, next we head to Ghana because Ghana's government decision to lift the country's lockdown to cope the spread of COVID-19 has generated different reaction from citizens in the capital. According to the government, the move is necessitated to ease the impact on the vulnerable who are unable to live without normal business activities. The move is being described as inappropriate. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Life is gradually returning to normal in Ghana. The government has eased restrictions on the movement of people, allowing bus terminals like this one in Accra to resume operations.
I've been stuck in Accra for 3 weeks because of the lockdown. I came here to deliver some goods. Now I'm going back to the northern region.
The government locked down parts of the country for 3 weeks to contain the spread of the coronavirus. Many businesses were shut and people within the informal economy were hit hard. The government says it had to ease the restrictions to reduce the impact on the poor.
The lockdown has been lifted, but it has been lifted. That has not given us the priority that everything is okay. Things are not okay. We have to still go according to the instructions that is coming from the president.
The government has urged people to stick to wearing a face mask and to frequently wash their hands to prevent the spread of the coronavirus while going about their duties.
People are finding it difficult to practice social distancing at this bus terminal. This is heightening fears of the further spread of COVID-19.
Safety experts say the country could see a spike of the coronavirus cases if the situation is not handled well, and some say lifting the measures is premature.
At a time when our figures are in the thousands, when we do not know our rate of infections, it is not prudent to lift the lockdown.
But the government says it is monitoring the situation closely and will review its strategy when it becomes necessary. Businesses have also resumed operations, but economists say it may take a while for many to recover from the economic shocks caused by the pandemic. It's also unclear when schools will reopen or when large gatherings will be allowed.
From that report there in Accra, Ghana, we come back home and continue reporting on the matters of the COVID-19 because TAF Africa Global has joined the private sector to initiate on the initiative to fight against COVID-19 in the Gambia. Earlier today, the TAF Group launched the partial refurbishment of the old Ndemban Clinic in Bakau as a treatment center with a budget of $2 million. Let's have more details of that in this report.
TAF Africa Global Limited joined the private sector initiative to strengthen a major health facility as part of efforts to contain the spread of the coronavirus in the Gambia. The Pan-African real estate developer on Tuesday channeled a $2 million contribution through the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry for refurbishment of the old Ndeman Clinic in Bakau. The health center, which has ceased to operate following the collapse of former President Yahya Jammeh's alternative treatment program, will now be reactivated as one of the major treatment centers within the Greater Banjul area for cases of the COVID-19. Gambia's Ministry of Health estimates the total cost of renovation of the clinic to be $10 million, a reason for which TAF has diverted funds for its development foundation to this cause. Mustafa Njai, founder and chief executive officer of TAF Africa Global Limited, noted that the pandemic has become everyone's problem. As a result, his institution has chosen to partner with government on the crusade.
As part of our corporate social responsibility, we have diverted all our funds, which we had used before, mainly on youth development, into fighting COVID-19. So therefore, we have a pledge to make for this occasion, which probably we will list out later. You will see the check. The amount is $2 million that will be contributed as part of the renovation of Ndeban Clinic.
Having come closer to its private sector telethon target, the GCCI will likely move the bar a bit forward to allow more industries to plan ahead of the worst-case scenario of the COVID-19. Chief Executive Officer of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce, Aliu Seka, said the initial COVID-19 challenge was to mobilize $20 million, out of which $18 million was already achieved.
I'm pleased to say that over the last 3 weeks, we've been able to mobilize some $15 million, in addition to a new van purchased by the UNDP of over $3 million. So today's generous donation of TAF Global of $2 million takes us to the budget of $20 million that we had planned.
In a related development, the GCCI received a contribution of $100,000 from Enterprise Life Insurance on Monday. Fatou Jallo, manager of Enterprise Life, and Sarata Konate of Gambia Chamber of Commerce performed the formal presentation.
Enterprise Life is an institution that really feels its people. We're here to touch the lives of our people. And with the advent of this COVID-19, we think the most important thing is to have our people survive it so that we will be able to rebuild our institutions, our communities, and our country.
On behalf of the board and management of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce, on behalf of the entire business community, we are very grateful for this generous support towards businesses against COVID-19.
The Gambia could see more than 100,000 cases of coronavirus in the next 3 months, according to a special committee at the National Assembly, including health experts set up as part of the country's broad response to the pandemic. The country's health minister said 1,000 hospital beds are being set up in response to the projection. However, Dr. Samate warned Gambians and non-Gambians residents not to be complacent about the new coronavirus, a contagious respiratory disease which emerged from China's city of Wuhan in mid-December 2019. For iAfrica News, I am Julden Suare.
The Gambia's private sector, they are continuing to support in the fight of the coronavirus, as the country have now registered 10 cases so far. And from the report there by Julden Suare, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining update story. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Have your say.
Fellow Gambians, my government has approved a $500 million emergency fund, which the Ministries of Health and Finance will work on for disbursement and use to fight COVID-19 menace.
xaalis bi tege yomb na waaye xam lu jafe mooy séddale bi ni ñu ko séddalee ak ndax danañ ko jox ñi ko yeeyoo wala duñ leen ko jox loolu moo jara laajte.
cos loo xam ne la nit yee tax ñu joxe ko te nit ñi ñoo leen fa teg te xaalis nit yi la comme xaalisi population bi la wax dëgg yàlla li gënoon mooy ku nekk gis sa boppa
man suma sañoon daal ñu séddoo ko nu mu waroo buñ si def xaaj loo ñii diw nañ ko si ku nekk loo war a am nga am ko.
askan bi seen dem ak dikk bu ñu wàññee mu jël ko def ko si loolu noonu participer ko si loolu noonu ba nga xam ne danañ mën a ànd ak moom si wàññi suñu dem ak suñu dikk.
génne leen xaalis bi nañ ko génnee ñu def ko ñu defar suñu réew mi defar réew nag da nga koy commencé njàng mu baax nit ñi di faju feebar di faju tan feebar di faju dafa xemul kombo loolu affaire bi du kombo rek nañ génne ci àll bi yëpp ñu defar fa hôpital li war man mi nekk kombo moo war ka nekk fototo moo war ka nekk Paka Ndiogu moo war ko nekk feneen.
waaye nit doo ko mën a wax mu teg këram joxuloo ko dara lu mu lekk soo ñun balaa corona dañu rey xiif moo ñoo rey.
nguur bi su nekkee ne 500 millions Gambie ñaata population bi ñun ñaata lañ.
2 point or 1 point.
ok 2 point boobu noonu su nekkee dañ ko war a séddale si nit ñi ku nekk ñaata la war a am.
million su bëri soosu noonu nañ ko xaaj jox xel benn xaaf ñu téyegum ñu jël beneen xaaf bi yóbbu ko ci communauté bi ñu téyegum.
silang ni nga arda ko bulu courant lu sorota ani borolu sayin pentanglu panande nyante hakilo falol fanan kanne
ya foko nga ta si suo kono ha man sala million be maburu nga bulo kono man sana la kuol bebe kuo be kala jeto hanin min fankana fontolen ko nga ta si suo kono fotolo man tara man sa do kuol nin karo fate man tara kejo
xaalis boobu dañ ko war a xaaj ñu jël xaaj bi dugal ko ci wéru yaram bi ñaareel xaaj bi dugal ko ci askan bi.
Have your say.
Welcome back. You are watching the World Today News Bulletin on iAfrica TV. And now to the rest of the stories. Now, health authorities in DR Congo are resolute in the fight against COVID-19 and the Ebola virus, but lack of funding is impeding their efforts. Government say it has plans for mass sensitization on preventive measures to stem the spread of the virus. World Bank and the U.S. government has provided over $50 million to fight COVID-19, which have reached war-torn areas in the country. Let's have more of that in this report.
The east of the DRC has been rocked by conflict for over 2 decades. Authorities there are now fighting a war against highly infectious diseases. Ebola and COVID-19 cases have been reported in North and South Kivu provinces. But the government is optimistic it will win the battle with the expertise gained in dealing with Ebola.
À la crise Covid, il faut communiquer.
We will be able to contain COVID-19 and Ebola by engaging the communities in the affected areas with clear messages about what they should do. Once they understand and follow the guidelines, the risk of spreading the diseases will be reduced.
The DRC is dealing with several other epidemics, but doesn't have enough funds to deal with them. International aid agencies have played a big role in supporting the government's fight against Ebola and other diseases.
You were talking about to intensify surveillance, epidemiological surveillance in the field. Even after the end of the outbreak, you plan to intensify surveillance during 90 days surveillance, because this type of situation can happen.
Most of the COVID-19 cases have been reported in Kinshasa. The city has an estimated population of 12 million people. Not many of them have been observing social distancing measures. Health experts have warned of a peak in COVID-19 cases next month. The World Bank and the U.S. government have offered DRC authorities a total of $53 million to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. But the disease has now spread to areas that are racked by conflict. That will make it very difficult for healthcare workers to contain it.
And from the report there in DR Congo, finally we head to North Africa, because as the coronavirus pandemic continues to restrict movement of goods and services, Egypt has begun wheat harvest to lift its falling rivers. The North African country heavily relies on wheat, and plans were already in place to expand its cultivation. Farmers are now busy harvesting without much concerns about application of the preventive measures recommended by health authorities. Let's have more of that in this report.
With the panic caused by COVID-19, Cairo has been rushing to increase its reserve of wheat after several countries declared restrictions on exports. Egypt was already increasing wheat cultivation area by about 10%, but waves of extreme weather decreased land productivity.
The heavy rains we have seen had an impact because of the massive volume of water absorbed in the ground. We had to harvest manually instead of using machinery. That has been the biggest challenge we have seen this year after expecting a promising season.
Harvesting season is here, which is still good news for a nation that relies heavily on wheat. Although social distancing is advised under the pandemic, yet farmers find themselves obliged to bring in more manpower.
No one can stay at home because the harvesting season has begun. We thought about getting half the labor to harvest, but because of the rain, it takes more people to harvest the crop because it's more challenging than when the field is dry.
Egypt is one of the biggest wheat importers in the world. It's been saving a 3-month reserve of that strategic crop. The harvest season boosts reserves by about 3.6 million tons, increasing the national reserve to be sufficient for up to 8 months.
That report there in Egypt finally bring this news bulletin to an end. But for more details on these stories and others, you can also log on our website on africa.tv. But for now, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.